turnovers and the second chance points allowed, I'm guessing you like a lot of these offenses, right?
Yeah, I mean, there were times we were small, we were switching, we did get hurt on the backboard. I thought in the first half we could have done a much better job there. Second half was a little bit better. And then, one of the things we had talked about, they're a team that, part of the reason why their defense is good is they force a lot of turnovers. They're number one in the league at steals, slapping the ball, and especially live ball turnovers. So, we didn't do a great job in that first quarter. I think we had 6 turnovers in the first quarter. I think as the game went on, we got a little bit better. But, I liked the way our guys competed and played and battled through all those things and kind of, started off not shooting it great, but we kind of just stayed with it. We got downhill, we moved the ball, we sprayed it around. I thought we played the right way. And then I thought, Harris and Oubre, just their length and their size, Maxi's speed. Even Morris, he comes in as a bigger body. They tried to ISO in a lot of situations. I thought we provided pretty good help for one another.
To that point of your offensive style, you guys just finished December 9-5. You have 5 in doubles again tonight. Have you seen enough of a body of work here to think this is sustainable, this style of play offensively?
When you say sustainable in terms of
moving forward,
I think it's the only way. I think it's the right way to play. For us, for our group,
have you seen enough from you guys that you think this is here to stay?
Oh, no. I always say this, like, when you're trying to create an identity, it's really, really hard, to do it night in and night out. But we have to work at it. And I think that these guys have worked really hard at it, to do it. So I think, is it sustainable? Yes, but we have to put the work in. We can't think that, okay, we got to figure it out. Like, we have to put the work in to do that, to get down the floor, to flatten the floor out, to get the ball moving, to try to get the ball ahead of the defense. And listen, there are nights, and I do think, not making excuses for our guys, the Denver game, the Cleveland game, we were a step slow. We got to be able to push through those moments. So I think that the guys understand, what we need to do, but we have to work for one another, and that's going to be the biggest thing. Do I think it's sustainable? Yes. I think the guys will try. Are we going to be perfect? No, but I do think that we can play that way, and that's the way we have to play, to be effective, where we become maybe a little bit more difficult to guard as a team.
Billy, beginning the first 4 or 5 weeks of the season, you talked a lot, when a lot of the losing was going on, you talked a lot about this team just didn't have a lot of room for error. A lot of turnovers tonight, not the best shooting from three-point range. Is the defense covering up things more than it, so you can have a little bit more room for error? It seems like you guys don't have to be perfect like you did that first month of the season because the defense is showing up. You get that sense?
Yeah, I think we've gotten better defensively. They've done a really good job. I think if you go back early in the year, like some of the things that were causing us problems, we weren't rebounding the ball very well. And not that we did it great tonight, but for the most part, we've been fairly good. We were fouling at an alarming rate. We were really one of the worst teams. Those two things really hurt you. If you're giving up offensive rebounds and fouling, never mind if a team has a really good shooting night. We've contested pretty well all year long. And we've generally been pretty good at kind of forcing some turnovers just with our activity and being in the right position. But I do think our defense has taken a jump over these last 12 to 13 games. That's been, I think, pretty significant. Like, if you just look at the numbers there, half your offensive numbers are going to be driven by making shots, but I do think we've been able to offset some of that because we have offensive rebounded better than maybe we did a year ago, and I think we're doing some of the things that you mentioned from those first maybe 15, 20 games, and maybe earlier than that, much better now.
Billy, what have you... what you were talking about with the defense, it's kind of a trend from last season as well, where you guys started out maybe a little bit lower in the league and then just kind of grew as the year went on. What do you think causes that low start and then the growth that you guys have seen over the last 2 years?
I think it's just like what I said, offensively, the sustainability of fighting for consistency. It's really hard in this league to be consistent. Like, people say, just be consistent, just do it every day. There's a lot of variables, in terms of, being consistent all the time. And I think if we can just be really, really a good collective defensive team collectively, and obviously someone like Alex is elite. Like, he's unbelievable, right? And I think Isle's got potential. Patrick's got the potential. DeMar, who's been around the league for a long time, has got a high IQ. Drum's played in a million pick and rolls, right? But we have to be there for each other. So I think the consistency of doing that, being where the biggest thing is for us is the positioning. We don't have the length sometimes and the speed and the quickness to offset not being in the right spot. And and there's movement. So you got to recognize what movement's happening, where you got to be, and I feel like we're getting better at those things, more consistent, I should say.
Billy, what have you seen from those small units with Patrick or Terry Taylor at the 5?
I thought Terry was good tonight. He gave us a really good boost off the bench, did a lot of good things on the backboard. That's one thing he does really at an elite level. His offensive rebounds. He got us a few extra possessions. We were able to switch with him some defensively. I thought he was good. I knew that they were going to play small, just coming off of last night's game, pretty much maybe not the whole second half, but certainly a good chunk of maybe the end of the third quarter, all of fourth quarter, they were small. They had Morris and Covington out there at the 4 and 5 a lot. So with Embiid being out, you knew that lineup was coming. They pretty much stayed pretty consistent with Reed and Bamba the first half, but then they started to get a little bit smaller. We have to do that with Drum comes off because we just don't have another body like that. So for us, we feel comfortable doing that. It's been pretty good for us. Now we've played Terry there a little bit more. I think maybe in Miami and a couple other games we've played Patrick and AC there together. But I don't mind it. The biggest thing is the rebounding. Where we got hurt on some of the switches on the offensive rebounding. That was a big part of some of the offensive rebounding was we got guards inside trying to block out bigger people, and we probably need to do a better job blocking out.
In the past, you've said that that's kind of like a situational thing, matchup dependent. But just with the way it's played, do you see that as something you might want to use moving forward? And then just like in general, how do you feel about as opposed to matching up with them going small or big or whatever, you kind of setting the tone with we're going small tonight and kind of forcing another team to try to adjust to you? What's kind of your stance on that?
Yeah, I like it. We did it tonight. They were small. We brought Andre back in, and then they ended up bringing Reed back in. We did it against Miami where they were bigger, and we went small, and they adjust to us. I think sometimes it's good to do that. I don't think you should always, at least what I believe is not always, hey, we have to match what they're doing. Sometimes it's good to throw a lineup out there, and you understand that we ended up going small against the Clippers last year, and we put Derek Jones out there, and we got really, really hurt. We were up by 15 or 16. We got really hurt with Zubac. He really hurt us, and the lead went from 16 down to 8 like that. So when you do that, and the other team's big and you're small, or you're big and they're small, the ebbs and flow in the game in a very short, it can change quickly. But sometimes taking the chance to do that to see what happens is not a bad thing either, and I'm not opposed to that.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.